you here today? No?
Lorraine is waving.
Lorraine.
Lorraine and partner.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's just start with the basic.
I don't know if I'm new. I've been to one of your AA meetings, but I've listened to you a lot on YouTube. I'm really familiar with non-duality.
All right. Good. Good. Well, then we can just go to the. So again, non-duality is just not two. So hopefully, if you're here and you've heard the message, there's been a sense, or there's a suspicion, or a hope, or a recognition that that which thinks it has a suspicion, or a hope, or a recognition isn't true. But there's a sense of what you are, and that is not of duality. Yeah. So the sense of what you are is the point where the non-duality, in a sense, comes from. So the sense of what you are seems to be covered up or uh, underappreciated because there's an activity going on, a mental activity, and that mental activity is assuming and presupposing and insinuating and reinforcing that we're something, yeah, something other than what we are. So that something is a movement, even though it's recognized as a thing, Paul or Bill or Mary, and it looks like it's an independent, separate entity. That independence and separateness then gets applied to thoughts and feelings. So a lot of people get drawn into this idea of feeling terminally unique because they believe they have private thoughts and their own feelings, and they're the only one that was motivated to do an action such as they did. And so this movement in us or as us is of two. It's a subject object movement. Our experiences are an experiencer and an experience. Our sense of seeing is there's a seer, that's just assumed to be me, and then there's everything that I see during the day. So the subject in that case would be me, and everything else I see would be an object. The same thing with feelings. The feelings occur, but there's a sense that they're my feelings. And that sense of my is pictured as this independent, long-lasting, separate thing. So now that thing, though, is an object, yes? Because other things can see this thing. So this is where it gets confusing. So we're taking ourselves to be a subject, but that subject is represented as an object. So you could see this would be the delusionary activity, or the ladle that's stirring the pot, this subject objectness, which is disguised as this singular unit called Paul, but Paul's activity is more subject object. So non-duality is a negation of that, and it's negating a common expression of that, which is that this subject objectness, identified as a singular unit, gets to a point where it starts to look for itself. It thinks there's an authentic self, or a larger self, or the ultimate self, or the collective self. And basically it starts looking for what it is as a topic, or as a goal, or as something to acquire or arrive at or to experience. And it's all coming from this predisposition of being what you're not. So non-duality is more a negation of that, and then warning and describing and uh, putting out an understanding about what we're not, so that we can recognize it, not from what we're not, but from what we are. Because at every moment of what we're not, which is strung together by a narrative, there is the timelessness of what we are. So right where we are at all times with no requirement necessary, that's that. Yeah. Now we want to negate which is causing it to seem to be distant and far away, or something that I once had or lost, or something I'm going to awaken to, but then if I do something stupid, I'll become unawake to. And all of this movement that is described in a lot of spiritual annals, at least the new time, these last 40 years from the 70s or the 60s, this constant describing a spiritual journey from what we're not seeing the fundamental mistake of that, because we're using what we are to look for what we're not. I mean, we're using what we are to look for what we are as what we're not. See, we're not seeing ourselves as what we are. We're believing that we're something else, and then our life, which is a narrative really, starts from there. And it leads to the point where you may have been at every house on the block to get relief: drugs, sex, partying, money, esteem, fame, whatever, all these things, being a great servant, being a humanitarian, all of these things can be seen as self. All these activities that have seem to have come from a logical point. Yeah, I feel like I'm really screwed. I want to find out what's screwing me so that I can be less screwed. Not realizing that that premise, the starting point, is the dilemma in a way. So I feel when I heard the message of non-duality, the first satsangs I went to, mostly what I heard was a description of the indescribable, which I thought was sort of weird to begin with. Why is anyone wasting time trying to describe what's indescribable? But let's say the indescribable is all there is consciousness. We're inherently empty, yet everything is full. All this. And it hit somewhere, and that point provoked a curiosity. But that curiosity was being misdirected, really. Without the one knowing it. So what happened is I came, I don't know, things changed, and then I saw that the point was not to keep hearing the description of what I am, but to really get a description of what I'm not, so I can recognize it, because I may be masquerading as what I'm not while hearing about what I am, which means the hearing about what I am never gets to what I am. It gets sort of waylaid by what I'm not. And I felt in this event here, that was more important than the message about what you are, because you are that already. See, this is not a message that you can be that, yeah, after you fulfill a lot of requirements, or maybe a little requirements, or you got the speed reading course instead of the long, or the cultivated enlightenment instead of sudden enlightenment. But all those they were just seen from a wrong point. So once my wanting to understand was turned on to the topic of what I'm not, I found out I'm not that. Yeah. And then in the finding out I'm not that, there was an immediate recognition of as what I am. It doesn't take any time to be what you already are, and you don't have to plan on arriving if you've never left. So this is the whole point of the talks, really. Because if I would have heard it at satsang, I would have just listened to it at satsang and left and entertained it. But what was happening to me, maybe it's changed, or I wasn't hearing what was being said, but I didn't hear the importance of seeing how what you're not arises so quickly in time and claims to be the doer of every doing, and the seer of all the seeing, and the hearer of all the hearing, and the feeler of all the feelings, and the smeller of all the smelling, and all like that. I didn't see it. I had a vague sense something was off, but I was never going to see the system through the system. I got a hit of what I am by just having a strong suspicion I'm not that, yeah, which was being assumed to be what I am. So yeah, I'm hoping I'm not hoping about anything really. I'm just here doing a seed assignment. I hope I hope it helps or whatever. But at least I want to be clear. This is not a path to illumination. This idea will illuminate every or any path you're on. It's totally different than something you're going to acquire or arrive at. It's a fact. The fact is you are that. The seeker is the sought. What's looking is what you are looking for. That's the fact of non-duality. And what needs to be questioned is the assumed fact that we're this long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody want to raise their hand? While we're waiting, I'm going to comment about, how you like that part of A Course in Miracles about how the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part.
Yeah.
So I was thinking how funny it is, though, to assume that an object, and a brain is just an object, that can decide what another object is. So, like, I have a little fridge and a microwave next to each other. They don't decide what they are to each other. So, just a comment about that being funny. Like, so obviously, it's not the body or the brain that can decide what another thing is, but it's an interesting idea that what wants to apprehend itself. So no thing, everything, right? Identifying as a body somehow seems to manage to do that. Or dream, obviously dreaming, but
Well, again, yeah, it's a subjective movement, but it's claimed and it's pinned on an object. This
yeah,
is what the negation of the message is that duality. Because the mental state is very confused about things. It's lending the attributes of subjectiveness to the object, yeah? And this is the point that needs to be addressed. Are you the object? You don't have to know or not, you're the subject. The subjectiveness is obvious. The I am is sensed, all this stuff. What is important is to see, are you the object? And is the object the one who is causing the subjective experience? Is it true or not? If it isn't true, if you see that whatever can be perceived can't actually be that which is perceiving, then you can look at the narrative that we've been assuming to be a factual storyline about the action figure Paul and see the narrative's whole assumption is off. The narrative is believing the subjectiveness is a body. Yeah? This is the negation of the message. The message isn't, you don't need, it's not like you're going to become subjective. You've never not been that. It's the identification as the object that's causing a certain confusion. Yeah? And so, uh, hmm. So if you hear these masters like Huang Po and some of their statements like you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, what the hell would that be? Does that apply to anything that you would call your life? Were you or are you right now in the act? You're not doing it, but are you in the act of the Buddha being used to seek the Buddha? Yeah. If it is, if it's true, that's incredibly relieving. Yeah, it really is. Because if the Buddha hears the message, yeah, if the Buddha hears the message, it's pretty sudden. It realizes, yeah, why am I using myself to find myself? When Paul keeps hearing it, it confuses him. And then he has to do, like, the mental state has to do a lot of gymnastics to rationalize why Paul is using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yeah.
Gary C. just raised his hand.
Hi, Paul. Can
Hey,
you hear
Gary.
me now? Hey.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, it's interesting. There's a tendency, at least in me, I noticed, to like try to improve the narrative. Like, you know, maybe I could have a happier narrative, or you know, less screw ups and stuff. And I just wonder if you might talk about that, because I think there's a fault to that, you know, like trying to improve the life of this action figure by, I don't know, adjusting the narrative so that it's not so screwed up. And you talk about how you know, you can't turn it into a lapdog or something. Sometimes it seems nice, but sometimes it's not. So I'd just be interested in hearing you talk about, you know, you hear what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, from this point, there is no Gary that's trying to improve the narrative. There's an activity called improving the narrative, which is part and parcel of the programming of the action figure. Yes?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when this obsession with self is dominating the action figure, then everything goes a little haywire. Like we say in AA, the instinctual drives are sort of misdirected or something. Yes? So basically, the action figure is seeking balance, basically. It's seeking a little bit of comfort. Yeah. Now, let's say if I'm anxious, and so the action figure goes, well, I've learned some meditation, and I've heard if you sit for 10 minutes, the blood pressure will go down. That has nothing to do with self. That's the action figure trying to support its own well-being. Yeah, that's part of the programming. Now, suddenly, if you find yourself in a retreat and you're sitting for 13 hours on your ass trying to meditate, then the head thinks it's going somewhere. Yeah, then there's a different meaning has been given to the action figure then. Yeah, it's using the action figure to look for the Buddha, basically, in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, so this idea there is improving the narrative. That's a verb. I'm not talking about is it right or wrong it to improve or not improve. I'm just saying there isn't anyone that's doing the improving. Yeah? There isn't a thing as we know things. Yeah? There
Mm-hmm.
isn't a subjectiveness that could be qualified as one, as an individual subjectiveness. Yeah? There is, this is what we're looking at. Yeah? So my head comes up with incredible ideas of how to take care of me. I have a dilemma as an action figure. When I got run over by the car, my foot got totally screwed. Yeah? They bent it, and it's just a weird foot. So I can't go out and buy a pair of shoes for 37 years. Yeah. I just can't go and put on a pair of shoes and walk out. It's impossible. I have to find one shoe that will be big enough to fit to have my foot in there without pressing on my foot because it's bent in a weird way. Yeah, and I had to and and so I needed to look. I found cobblers to build shoes for me and shit like that. And the action figure is trying to seek some answer to this problem of having a deformed foot because you got to walk around, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
seeking for comfort. Now, that activity, that verb, can be claimed by the head to say it's Paul that's looking for all this, and now Paul can see it as obsessive when he looks at Paul as the thief being obsessed, and then the policeman. That's fucking obsessive for Paul. And now suddenly a whole story gets hatched just looking for a comfortable pair of shoes as a story of Paul being upset. Yes, you see?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just the claiming I'm interested in. I don't care. The verbing is the verbing. It's what it's being made to, because we report a verbing. There's been a desire to improve the narrative. Yeah? But suddenly it turns into Gary's trying to improve the narrative. Then there's tons of opinions about why Gary shouldn't be trying. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it just piles
Yeah.
on when it was just a verb. You know, we want to stop it and then just put like 8 tons on it. And then the verb is like, can't handle it. It's just like, yeah, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
yeah, it's that sense of the manufacturing of a one or of the noun from the verbing. Yeah? The
Mm-hmm.
verbing's just going on. The action figure program is, hey, I can be hurt. This can happen. That can happen. I'm trying to find, why do you think people go to mattress stores? They 1/3 of their day they're gonna not even be here. They're trying to find something comfortable. When I got sober, that was the first wise thought I had. Hey, I'm gonna get a nice futon because I figured I'm asleep 1/3 of the day. And so fucking wisdom, when I saw when left alone, the action figure has some fucking wisdom. Yeah? It can taste something and say, hey, that's not right for me. It starts getting drawn to fruit certain times. Shit, yeah. It's a very incredible event. It's
Mm-hmm.
when it's made into someone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's turned into like a Frankenstein monster. Yeah. That's what I'm
Cool.
concerned about. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. And if there are any cobblers, get in touch with me later. I can't even wear sandals because I can't fit the foot in the sandal. It's just amazing. Yeah. It wrecked my whole fucking shtick. My hippie shtick went out the window. I can't go, I have to wear something. I can't walk around without any shoes because it's like a stump. It severely crimped my fashionable style.
Mm.
Do I blame it or do I? Oh, no, it's you, Paul, that wants a better shoe. No,
Mm. Mm.
you know, no, it isn't. There's never been a Paul, so you're not
Mm.
having. It's not like you're catching something that wasn't there. It's always been an add-on. Yeah, you just stop adding on to it, and then the momentum starts running out, and you still see it getting added onto, but it gets slower and weaker, and the glue isn't good enough, and then you just lose interest in it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you don't have to take that one step beyond the
No,
next step.
no, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Again, it always wants to be about it. Yeah. It has a kernel of truth about something, but it twists that to infer it constantly, reinforcing. It's the great loop of self-importance. Yeah. You can't get out of it if you think you're in it. That's the point. The escape is the great wisdom of no escape. There's nowhere to escape from, in a sense. You can't transcend an imaginary place. Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks.
And our backup has a question. Oh, and Keith in Sacramento says that your hair makes up for your foot, dude.
My hair makes up for my foot. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell that to the foot. Yeah.
You're gonna go ahead, or Kaiser?
Sure. Hey, Paul. I got a question. Kind of orienting this action figure. It seems I've had kind of like a metaphor. I don't know if it's helpful and if it's not helpful, please shut it down or disagree with it or whatever. But the metaphor that's been kicking around has been like as someone who's sleeping, and then there's an actual sound in the room, how the person sleeping kind of incorporates those sounds into the dream and orients that, and oh, this isn't maybe an alarm, maybe it's something else while I'm dreaming. And it just seems like the sounds in this analogy would be like some of these spiritual teachings, you are not what you are, all this other stuff. And then the mind kind of, as I'm dreaming, starts to make stuff out of it and stuff to do and shape it into some way where I've had the experience of incorporating sounds into my dream, and then I can't really figure out what it is, and I kind of let it go. And then the sound kind of wakes me up from sleeping and then waking in the conventional sense. And it seems like some of these ideas that are coming through, it's not to necessarily figure out, but kind of let those, like I'm dreaming, let those sounds kind of confuse me, and then allow the sounds or these teachings to kind of like have the awakeness happen. And it seems like it's more of like stopping dreaming. There's no like awakening. It's like that's kind of around here, like just stop dreaming and stop denying what's here. And the only thing that I would seem to access to move through this is interest and attention. Like I can place my interest and attention on these different things, but then there's something like the sound and the dreaming saying allow that interest and attention to be placed. So it's kind of like giving up free will entirely. I mean, I don't fully understand what I just said, but it's there's a happening. I don't know. Does this make any sense? I don't know.
Yes. Well, the one part of the old narrative wants to try to make sense of it, but the other thing is running way ahead. Yeah. So just don't look back at the tired narrative. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a dog; he'll find you again. It's got your scent. But the thing is, you don't stop dreaming.
Mhm.
Yeah. The dreaming continues. Just the idea that you're the dreamt, and especially that the dreamt is what's dreaming, is dismissed. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, kind of.
Yeah. See the dreamt, uh, what the dreamt's wishes is for the dreaming to stop. That's a wish from the dreamt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The dreaming is dreaming. There's nothing. It's just what's happening. It's the dreamt that finds offense in a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah. So if you lose interest in the dreamt, uh, you'll find you've gained interest in whatever. Hopefully you'll report back when you start gaining interest in other things. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot
Because you
more
will.
stuff here than
The
dreaming.
interest is there. It's going to land on something or nothing, So you'll see. There'll be a report about it. Yeah. So the idea is the dreaming obviously would be a subjective event. Yeah. We have it at night where the body isn't running while you're running in the dreaming. Yeah. When you're asleep. Yeah. The body's pretty much its job is called off, and now it's just subjective dreaming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we believe we wake up to this, what Ramana, I think, would say, awake dreaming. And because the body looks like it's doing it, we think this is a real solid place. But it's not the body doing it, it's still the subjective dreaming. There's just a body pictured in it, just like there was at night. But we just don't see it that way because we're in the dreaming. So you're thinking the dreamt is the subject. Yeah, this is what non-duality is negating. you believe the object is the subject.
Mhm.
It isn't. Yeah. All there is subject. There is no object. Yeah. So Ramana would say the mind is appearing, the body is appearing in the mind, just like a body appears in the mind at night when you're dreaming. Yes.
Yeah.
There's no real difference. They would give it the title awake dreaming now. Yeah, because there seems to be, see, the only difference between last night's dreaming and this night's dreaming, we don't have a morning to wake up to this one. We have it the one at night, seemingly. So the dreaming is called off, and then the real dreaming continues. But in the real dreaming, because we've given this night dream a name, yeah, and an understanding that we don't see the similarities between now and that, which is unbelievable. The evidence is right in front of us, yeah. But the stubbornness of taking ourselves to be an object and the reality of this world of things and solidity causes us not to recognize the similarity between dreaming at night and dreaming now. Right? Yeah.
And it really is all in front of us. Like it's all in front of us. It's I don't get it, but it's yeah.
And the thing is, the action figure believes it has free will. That's its programming.
Yep.
Why would you waste time trying to convince the action figure that it doesn't have free will? Just know it doesn't have free will from what you are. Yeah? And then you'll be able to travel lighter through it thinking it has free will all the time and getting frustrated and confused and, fucking pissed off because people or things or feelings or thoughts aren't doing what I want them to do. So either I have free will and no power, So I found, do not sign up for a three-week course, how to convince yourself you don't have free will. I just don't, it doesn't matter. If you feel like you have free will, do the next right thing. See how it works out. Yeah? Why do you want to, either you're going to go all the way or no way. Either it's dreaming or it's not dreaming. If it's dreaming, why take it so fucking seriously? Yes? So wait a minute. I gotta know, is it God's will or my will or whatever? You're not that important as the dreamt. You're not, really. So, and that relevance is what keeps the dreamt in a sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems so scary, but it's so obvious, and it's also freeing about that free will thing. It's just yeah, just leave it the hell alone. It takes
That which thinks it has free will, just try to do the next right thing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And when you succeed, hey, be grateful. When you don't succeed, hey, I gave it my best. Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, thank
Can
you.
you imagine? It's sort of like taking a kindergarten person and sending them to MIT on a master class of fucking celestial physics. The kid, wants to take a nap, shit like that.
Yeah.
Why do you want to ruin? Why do you want to ruin the childhood of the kid? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, well, yeah. It thinks it has free will. It chooses oat milk instead of soy milk. Wow. We got to correct that. We can't have any of that in this house. This is a rigid non-duality house. No free will here. I don't know. I feel a lot of the things when I heard the message, it was taken to the wrong place. My head just became the traffic cop and just directed all the messages to the wrong fucking parking space. You know what I mean? And then the poor thing that was in the parking space got beat up more than anywhere. It got more beat up than any liberation. It had more fucking things to beat itself up about. Jesus Christ, there's nothing like spiritual failure. It's terrible. I wasn't good at anything. I was a house painter. Yeah. I, I, I put a lot, I hung my hat on being a good spiritual seeker. And then when that rug was pulled out from me, shit, I had nowhere to go. You know what I mean? It's incredible. I mean, look at what people do. Just even at these Zooms. Do you believe we would have been better off if we had never heard the term awakening or enlightenment or not? I would say probably we would vote yes. That's all you need to know. So something hears a beautiful word like enlightenment, which one of the definitions is the cessation of all suffering, and actually uses that word to produce suffering. I mean, you could, do you need 800 pages of teachings? Just look at that. Yes, look at it. Look at something. Oh, what did they call it in Jesus Christ's time? Supposedly gospel meant good news. Well, a lot of people didn't take it as good news. They fucking crucified him. You know what I mean? He was like, hey, here's the good news. What, you motherfucker? You know what I mean? This is something's, what's more important than the good news is how it's being heard. Yes. You've got to have known, if you've gone to at least 5 or 6 satsangs or more, you've got to have gotten suspicious about something, because there's something going on, usually, that's not kosher. Yeah? You can feel, it's like the message gets slowed up enough so that the mental mitt can come out and catch it. Yeah? And then that runs home with the ball, fucking thinks about it, like, how pitchers do, polishes up and then gives it to you, and the fucking ball doesn't do shit anymore. Yeah? So what do? You go to satsangs and retreats and shit like that. Every time you don't get the message, the mitt gets the message. It takes it, gives it to you. What? It doesn't seem, I thought this was going to be relieving. I got to do more shit now. I got to cut more stuff. No, that's not the message. The message is being commandeered or hijacked or misdirected to the mental parking space. And then the mental parking space is making it into something. And then if it deems to be generous and magnanimous to us, it lets us have it after it fucking neutered the whole thing. Yeah? And now you're going to these things because that's where your friends go. Far out, But there's another point to the message. That's why, it came to me, and when it came to me, it was very clear there's no point to go anywhere else in the talks unless this is clear. It's just no point, because if you don't see it, you're going to be looking from it. It's just that simple. Mm-hmm. And I don't care. You can get the clearest glasses. The eyes are still fucking blind. Yeah. When the eyes are held by the mental state as your eyes, you're fucking seeing nothing. I don't mean the vision. I mean the awareness. Yeah. You're not seeing anything. You're watching a doctored biography. Yes or no? You heard it. Something must be wrong. If you're a lion and the message is you're a lion, it shouldn't take 500 meetings for that to get through. Yeah?
Yeah.
It shouldn't. If the fact is you're a lion, if the fact is you are what you're looking for, then obviously how the message is being delivered isn't taking into consideration that there's something that arises that neuters the message. Mm-hmm. Right where the seeming one who's going to hear the message is sitting, there's an activity that arises unbeknownst to us and claims to be the hearer of it. Yeah? It's just that in this rarefied setting, it can hopefully become obvious if you're a spiritual avidness. Yeah. When you see the robbery then at satsang, you'll be able to see it all day. Yeah, because it's happening all day. It's mechanical. But see, in spiritual searching, because of the meaning and the gravity it's given, sometimes you can see the contrast clearer than you would like fucking going to 7-Eleven. Yeah. So you can see the mental state arising, especially when it hears the message, you are that. When its whole premise is, no, 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 you're something else, you can usually see it. It moves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It moves when the message of non-duality hits. It does. It's shook up. And so hopefully you can recognize it. And where you're recognizing it from is not awareness unless you are awareness. It's awareness, and you are awareness. You're not aware as Kaiser. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
You are aware. That's it. Awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. And a self of Kaiser is denying awareness, like via the self. But then the self happens and you just leave it the hell alone.
Well, there's no self that happens. There's selfing.
Right.
The selfing happens and you leave that alone.
Right.
If you start trying to leave the self alone, you've swallowed the selfing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's already won by your trying to leave self alone.
Yeah.
Because there is no self. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's selfing. So selfing is mechanical. It just goes off. It does what it does. You believe maybe certain areas of life would be immune to it. They're not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is really, wherever you are or wherever you can go, it will be there. Yes?
Yeah.
And it's going to do what it does, which is claim the verbing to imply the noun and start from the noun, and then now have a narration and sifting through all the verbing and making up fucking more mental confetti all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just allow it to do its selfing and do
Well,
it all
what else are you
stuff, and you
gonna
just leave it
do?
alone. Yeah.
Because it's all, see, people believe the thinking makes it so. The thinking doesn't make it so. There's just thinking that it's already so. That's the problem. The thinking can never make it so. The thinking implies it's already so. That's what it does. We don't see the robbery in time. Yeah? We don't see it in time. If you could slow it down and recognize what's actually happening, it implies there was a self and there's gonna be a self. It never implies there is a self. It's always selfing now. Yeah? But it says there was a self and there will be a self. So it's inferring a fact. Yeah? Because he can't build the fact. All he can do is insinuate and imply. Yeah? There's no making of self. They're selfing. They're different, completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Kaiser. John Woodruff has had his hand up, down, and now up again.
Let him keep it up 5 more minutes. Good exercise, bro.
I'm coming in. I'm running out of raising my hands. But
right.
no, I just wanted to share. When I first started coming to these meetings, I had like a book and I was writing shit down and all of that. And then at some point I realized, like, what the hell am I doing? I mean, there's no point in doing this. But I wanted to kind of talk about how, you say, traveling lighter, self can't get out of self, but there kind of becomes a point where like that can get in a way, right? Because if I'm going around, and it's kind of what Gary talked about, I was kind of under the impression that the narrative was going to change, or like something would change. And that, like, when you say you're going to travel lighter, you don't travel lighter. There's no one there to care about you traveling lighter.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but the way it appears to us is it's a you traveling lighter.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all
Well, it's nice to see. See, instead of seeing you as a cause, you see it as an effect. So now the mental state has been affected by the message, and now you are traveling lighter. Yeah. Not
yeah,
as
and
it's not like the you caused the traveling lighter. The you is the effect of the traveling lighter. Yeah.
yeah, but there's like it was a misunderstanding, so to speak, that like I like there wasn't going to be anger anymore. There wasn't going to be any irritation.
Yeah. Sure.
Like
Yeah.
what's changed is that I don't, if anger comes up, I don't, it comes up and it's not ruminated on for, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
not talking in like an irresponsible kind of way. It doesn't weigh me down all day anymore, you know,
Yeah.
but the effects. So if I'm afraid of clowns and I go in front of a clown, there might be fear that arises, but I'm not owning it anymore, kind of, you know?
Yes. This is the this is very important, because really where it always gets murky is in the expression of the message, in the dreaming. Because just like when I got into recovery, I had a story going, trying to make myself feel better, that all the behavior I was doing at times was based on my cocaine use. So it made sense that if I stopped doing cocaine, those behaviors would stop. If the cocaine use was the cause, stop the cause, how could there be an effect? Yeah. But the cocaine wasn't the cause. So when I stopped doing coke, some of that behaviors came out and did the same old, same old. And it was like a rude awakening. It was like one of those rude bitch slaps where I realized, Jesus, I mistook. I once again haven't seen it clearly, because I was attributing a lot of behaviors to the drug use, and it wasn't. The drugs amplified the behaviors, but they weren't the motivating of the behaviors. They were coming from the addiction of self. Yeah. So this is what happens. Like in spirituality, people, let's go on a retreat, yeah, and then they're, for the next day or two after they leave, it's fucking pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
They're floating on a cloud, nothing's bothering them, and then sooner or later, life seems to encroach, and the same old seems to happen, because nothing really changed, yeah. It was like a surface experience, but the basis hadn't changed. You were still in the act of being identified as self, yeah. So then, all right, the pink cloud wears off, and then that desirous head wants to have that stabilized. So the only way it can think of stabilizing it has to do with it being the doer. So I got to do a longer retreat. Yeah. I got a day for 3 weeks. I'm going to do 3 months, and maybe have an unrealistic, maybe 4 days, 5 days. Yeah. And so this is what happens. And it gets disappointed, because it doesn't stabilize. It doesn't realize its role in the act of destabilization. So, in other words, the agitation is bitching about why it's agitating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the only thing it can do, based on its logic, is to do more, surrender more. Somehow, it's all about it. Yeah. And so hopefully, if you see it runs into these delusionary, frustrating events, you don't have to have 800 of them. 2 or 3 is enough. You'll recognize really what's going on. And so when that which you're not is frustrated about the stabilization, you won't be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the story will continue, like the story of like glove, puppet show, but the hand, even though it's in the glove, an animating glove, is somewhere else also. Yeah, it's in hand world. So
Yeah.
now it's not taking itself so seriously. Yeah, as a
Yeah.
glove,
Yeah. Thank
because
you for everything, man. Thank you.
there's a lot of glove dreams. Like there's a lot of spiritual dreams. And then you basically get disqualified if you only show one bad behavior. You're disqualified. And you gotta, mea culpa and go on a 5-month retreat, something like that. It's just all head playing God. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
at
no.
least let's get clear, what we are and what we're not. I mean, and how you get clear about what you are is by being clear about what you're not. If you're not clear about what you're not clear about what you are. I'm telling you. It's you would think what you are is the dominant uh, influence, but in the dreaming, it's really what you're not. Yeah, because it's what you are dreaming what it's not. Yeah, so it's really what you are still, but stubbornly taking something to be real. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I just found a huge difference when I looked at what I was hearing completely different in satsang. Yeah, when I looked at, I was very very drawn to the explaining about what I'm not. Yeah. And then I started to recognize what they had shared. And I started to see patterns quickly. Yeah. It didn't take more than 10 uh, pieces of evidence to reveal a pattern. I didn't have to go through 800 pieces of evidence. After a very short period, I see pattern. I see the pattern of selfing and how it defeats us. Yeah. And I could see the main fluidity of the defeat is in time. Time. It's using time. Yeah. In a very weird way. It implies there is a self already. Yeah. It's never saying you're going to become a self. It's always saying you are or you were a self.
Yeah.
It's already assuming a reality it doesn't have. We give it the reality by believing the selfing. Yeah.
Yeah. And for lack of a better word, I was ruminating on what I was not all day instead of kind of resting on where I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, that's the traveling lighter.
Yeah.
You don't I mean, when see the relief, if relief just stays relief, it gets ordinary. Yeah. To see the contrast or the great value of relief is when you're fucked up and then you get relief. Yeah. But this is a you get it you something changes on your basis where you're living on a level of relief all the time. So it's sort of like it's no big deal in a way. It's like ordinary dog shit awareness, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see how the contrast, that's what we're like junkies in a way. We get bummed out so that we can get high when we get relieved from it. It's really an addictive type of an event where has nothing to do with that. You're chilled out on a certain level and there's no comparing with the opposite because there's not many presentations of the opposite. So it's normal, becomes normal. Yeah. So if this is awakening, it's being awake to being awake. It's not a huge deal, and so you get it. It's normalized. Yeah. Yeah, and you can see why people, get addicted to experience. We're junkies, really, all of us in a sense. Not us. There's no Paul, but the apparatus driven by mind, the mental, is a very addictive nature. So it wants to it will really have a super low so it can get high. Yeah. Yeah. So that to me is like what Buddhism talks about, the desire and the discontentment. This is all mental all mental. Yeah, what you are is not of mental. Yeah, and you can easily get rooted in relief. Yeah, if you see what you're not. Yeah, what you're not doesn't have really any interest in relief unless you can compare it to other things and to other people. Yeah, yeah. I mean, non-duality doesn't have like belts like karate, 12th degree non-duality. It's just basically there's nothing new in non-duality. It's just a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You don't get like, oh, I know he's in non-duality. You don't even get that. It's just sort of like, you used to be able to tell people, let's say with Osho, they have the orange robes or something, or you could tell them these people, but non-duality is the most ordinary state of all because it's always been here. Exactly, it's never been anywhere else, and it doesn't get worse and better or small or large. It just is, and you're of that. I don't care what we say or think. We're of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
from the mental state. we're of that. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. I know this isn't you doing it, but thanks for showing up.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I have nothing else to do.
Thank you, John. And Hank is up next.
Hank?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right? Yes. Okay. Thanks, Paul, for your story. And you talked about free will and the determination, and what sort of helped me get out of the head is the question, what has a free will? And then I sort of, if it's me, that sort of presupposes I'm apart from, like Chuck C says, rather than a part of. And that sort of meditation seems to to dissolve my bondage of self to a certain extent. What do you think about it as a method?
Whatever works for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And then, if you're in recovery, just ask for the eyes to see when it's not working for you.
The ICC, what is it? Oh, the
The
eyes
eyes to
to
see
see.
when
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not working for you.
yeah,
Yeah, something that
yeah.
works for you may have a expiration date. Yeah.
All right,
In
yeah,
other words,
yeah,
mine's moving on. It's what was
yeah,
helpful then may not be helpful now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
But
I
total,
we had a guy in the other meeting on recovery. It was great. I think it was Jono, and he was talking about has many many years, and every morning he would do a prayer. Please relieve me of the bondage of self. Yeah,
that
and
better,
then he
maybe
noticed.
better do thy will. Yeah.
Yeah, he noticed that him saying the prayer was denying the fact that he was already in the relief from the bondage of self. You see?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is the point.
yeah,
So something has a use, and then it may run out of its use.
yeah. I do that
Yeah.
every morning too. Yeah, yeah,
So let's say
true.
some people from the Course in Miracles, if you ever heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a very never got big into it, but some people would say it's you just do it for a year and then you throw the book away. Other people have studied it for 30 years. Yeah. Is
yeah.
there is there any one way? No. It's what works
No.
for you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I was 5 years with a Vedic monk. And then he died. Then the next one, and then Vedanta was exit. So I felt it was sort of old hat or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
so this is
yeah,
what happens. You move because you know, in a way, the Course would say we're dreaming ourselves out of the dreaming. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happens if we're dreaming ourselves out of the dreaming, we're using what's in the dreaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you meet certain people, or you meet an idea, you entertain
Yeah.
it, it does what it was meant to do. There's a moving on, yes. Then you get
Yeah.
introduced to something else. So one day meditation is the calling thing to do, and then maybe from one day you'll never formally meditate again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
That's true.
it's because mind is before everything. Mind, yeah,
Yeah.
mind is before everything.
Yeah.
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 So
And that monk at the end of his life, he found religion totally trivial in a way.
yeah, see, this is what
It's just,
happens. Yeah,
yeah.
this is what happens. You usually become see, a lot of people learn something doesn't have much use after they've used it a long time.
Yeah.
That's what it was there to do. It's
When
its
there's a
success
when the,
was to
yeah.
fail. Yeah.
Well, he told me also when there's a flood, you don't need the pond anymore
Yeah.
if you need water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the whole. Exactly. 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 You.
Thanks for reminding me this. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
See, the
Thank
mental ideas they want to have a fence around it, and that's that. Yes. You need to be in
you. Yeah.
this idea. We're free range. Yeah, we're moving around, and so
Yeah.
something works and then it doesn't. It's really good to know. You know, it's a drag like when you're drinking milk and you're stubborn about the milk, and it's tasting weirder and weirder every day, and then you finally look at the expiration date and you have a story. But I love milk, but the milk's gone sour for fucking a
Yeah.
month.
It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so things have. I used to believe I had an expiration date for everyone here. My idea of success was to have no one show up.
Yeah. In AA, you can realize that.
It wasn't a good business plan, but what the hell? But it's true. I mean, the point is, I remember I went to see a guy, and he had a Zen background, and I'll never forget it. He said a interesting statement, an old Zen saying, which was, "I'm like a man standing by the river selling water." Yeah. So I thought, wait a minute, am I buying water here? And then he said, it's even funnier than that. I'm like a man standing in the river selling water. So we're all completely wet buying fucking water, I never went back after that day. I saw the expiration date. I did. And I never thought of him again either. So, yeah. Thanks. Nice to
Okay,
see you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hank. Jack G.
Jack G. Don't ask me to get up at 7 in the morning, Jack, for anything.
Well, thank you very much for last week, and yes, I will never ask you to do that again.
You can always ask me. I'm only joking.
Okay, but I won't. So I felt like last week, you know, put it in these terms is I feel like my head kind of popped out of the tiger's sphincter a little bit. Up to about here.
Yeah.
Just enough so that I could take a look around. And then it seemed to pop back in. And I had some real great relief for a couple days. And then it seemed like a lot of things, the proverbial shit hit the fan. And it seemed like a lot of things outside of me that I didn't have any control of, you know, appeared to be going wrong. And they did to some degree. Some of them worse than others. But so, and then this week I'm noticing that, and I know this is mental, everything I have an aversion to seems to be kind of materializing, you know? And, you know, it's like, just as an example, I don't like dog shit. And then all of a sudden I'm stepping in it, you know, like that. That's not what happened, like that. So, and then I really saw, you know, there's that old example of the angel and devil on the shoulders, you know, and I really saw, I really saw that in a comical way the other day. I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, but so, you know, I guess the only question I have, and I don't even know if it's a question, it's like I said, I really popped out a lot. And really good, you know? And then things seem to kind of get all fucked up again, but that's all. And thanks.
Sometimes, Jack, you must have heard this tons of times, yeah? When a lot of people speak about, let's say, have a certain length of time, which seems to be quite relieving, yeah? It makes a big impression, and then a lot of storms show up the next week or two in their lives, yeah? Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not unusual, yeah? So when things start getting different, the same old gets a little loud sometimes, yeah? It's not going to go easy into the night, so to speak. I take them as good indications that things are up and that the cards are getting reshuffled. So, yeah?
Yeah.
I've heard it so many times, Jack. You don't know how many times I've sat in this position and people speak about, yeah, I got replaced for a while there, and then the shit hit the fan. Yeah, they're not contrary, really. Yeah. So, like my old advice would be, hey, just don't act out, and you know what I mean, in recovery, and don't die, and things are going to get a lot different, and they do. Yeah. And then the relief, like we were speaking about that before, that like 3 day of, let's say, elevated relief, in a weird way becomes the norm. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's sort of like here, life's going to go like this all the time. Yeah. But it can be moved up and go like this, or here, go like this. Yeah. So the basis is changing. Like the sense I used to have, it was like everything just dropped down 10 feet. Yeah. The same people, the same chair, the same floor. It looked just like it did, but something was way different. Yeah. This happens. And then the only way you would know that it happened is if it went back up. What happens when it drops down and it doesn't go back up? It becomes ordinary.
Right.
Yeah? And the same thing. Sometimes you have the event, it drops down, and then you know it was an event in your narrative when it went back up. Yeah? Yes? But then it drops down and it stays down, and that's the new norm. And then the up and down keeps happening, but now you have a different baseline. You must have noticed it. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Oh, man, yeah, totally, yeah.
So when this drop down comes, yeah, and before it stabilizes in a way, I don't like the word stabilizes, but the other system gets a little bit wild, yeah?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
I remember when I was in recovery, I had been conveniently avoiding people for years, yeah? Suddenly, I'm in recovery and I get to the 8th step and the 9th step where you're supposed to make amends. And there I am, I'm driving the street, I see someone I owe money to. First thing I feel is take a left, but no, I pull over because of AA, call the guy, and I say, hey, bro, I owe you $50 from a phone bill I didn't pay. Then I'm at a concert, a Keith Richards concert. I see this fucking guy across the way. I owe money for Coke, and I haven't done Coke in about 6 months. But I know this guy, if he sees me, I'm going to get my ass kicked also. So I go, I make a beeline to that guy. Hey, Tony, you know, I never paid you for that money. And I gave him the money and shit like that. So, and then these like, it was like an action reaction going on. It simmered down, and then the basis changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the greatest condition in a way is when your condition goes unnoticed. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not comparing it with anything else. It's just like that always. Yeah, and it's the up and down in you as Paul contracting and expanding doesn't it's not contrary to the yeah.
Yeah.
See, we keep thinking from here that if I'm contracted, it means something's happened in the force. No, the force is the force. If you lose interest in the belief that your contraction is going to change this, if you lose interest in that, you'll see it never changes a fucking thing. Yeah. And therefore, the contraction won't have much effect. It won't. You'll be
Yeah.
resting in something that never gets disturbed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll have more and more shit will come up, whatever. But basically, sometimes the elevation is so beautiful because you don't have anything to compare it with. Yeah. It just goes, the whole thing goes up. You don't even notice it yet. After a couple of months, you realize, Jesus, I'm traveling a lot lighter. I don't know how that fucking happened. It's almost as if, without knowing it, you were moved from Wisconsin in November to Miami. And you're wondering, geez, I'm not wearing my boots. You know, fuck, it's fucking sunny. And I feel an urge to jump in the water, which would be insane in Wisconsin in November. Yeah? And so he's come to realize things have changed. Yeah. Yeah, I watched you, Jack. Yeah, just stay with, the the information got in, so you don't have any. Your role is over. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just gonna be, you'll be observing some shit and you'll be expressing. Yeah, yeah. It's already a done deal.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah, yeah. So refrain from asking me to get up at 7 in the morning.
I will.
For any other reason other than you giving me money, then I'll get up, maybe. All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jack. Drawer is up.
Oh, drawer. Drawer, man. When I say your name, it means a lot of different things.
Like
I'm
what?
thinking DRAWER, draw. Oh, hold on. The
Okay.
cat's here. So let me get it.
Heard it before.
Come on, Fats. Let's go. Yes, draw.
Yes, so I just had this urge to share what's happening, and
Yeah.
so actually, what happened? I was listening to the recording of the Wednesday meeting, and then there was starting to be like all these things in the head that's going on about this, trying to do something with it, like trying to use this the the terminology or the or this way of thinking as if in order to get to some state or something like that. And then I was suddenly catching it in a way. I was like, hey, like this is just becoming worse and worse, and it doesn't lead anywhere. It's trying to get there. And then I was thinking, actually, it never did, you know, and actually I've tried so many times and to do this and it never did. So maybe it's time that I stop to try to use the thinking to, in order to get out of thinking, to get relief or something. And then what happened is that I stopped. It's not that it stopped, but I stopped. How shall I say? Giving my consent to it. I stopped being part of it in a way, like it was going, and but it's like it was not me doing it. And what happened is that actually is that I kind of was less worried about it, you know. So like there was things coming, and there was this again, this subject of this all this thing going on, and I was like, I'm not going to do anything about it because I know that whatever I do is not going to do anything. It should just make it worse. So I just let it go. And what happened is that I suddenly I gained much sharper interest in the interests of the action figure, if I would say it like this. It was like suddenly I was more. I would meet a person and I would just be more attentive to what this person says, or I would have a need, let's say a physical need, or I don't know what, or whatever, or any need. I would just go and tend to this need, you know, and not think about it so much. And it's a few days that it's mostly like this, that I'm not really, when things start to get messy in the head, I'm like, okay, there's nothing to do about it, and and then again I'm in the action world, and this is how it is, and I don't know, that's the way it is now.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you know, let's say if I was a doctor's office and you would have shared something differently, I would say I'd see you next week. But now I say, get in touch with me in about 6 months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words,
Yeah.
what I heard you is you lost interest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the losing of interest, you were more available to others, and you also felt lighter yourself. Yeah. Now, and you've learned that you can't set out to lose interest. That would be interest. So now you saw it in a different way that worked. Yeah. So just carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that.
You see, it's very surprising for people when a lack of when that constant interest in themselves gets moved, that things are better. Because it goes completely contrary to why, in a way, it first sat on our branch. It assumed that it was going to fucking promote us, but in fact, it hasn't worked. So it's really nice when you lose interest in getting better. You seem to get better. Yeah.
Yes.
You're on to the secret of the message. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't say anything else. You said it beautifully. Just
Okay.
come back next week and see how it's going. Yeah.
Okay, great.
But
Thank you very much.
something very interesting was revealed there, because
Mm-hmm.
you usually respond as the policeman when the thief was seen, and now the policeman was having a cup of coffee and eating some donuts while the thief was going. And basically, the thief didn't get away with much, and the policeman didn't have to chase him or anything, and both
Yeah.
won, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it is. I said.
Yeah, there you go. So get some more donuts and coffee.
Yeah, I think I will.
Forget
Thank
about
you.
the thief. The thief can't take anything of true value away, other than the attention and interest we give to try to catch it and reform it all fucking day. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the value. When you stop giving that value, You see the unimportance of a thief. You know, once I lived in this, I wasn't doing well, and I was in a very bad area in the East Bay here, yeah? And
Mm-hmm.
some guy I was quote unquote, working for he had a little cottage in this neighborhood. There was nothing in there. I got a mattress, and I was shooting drugs at the time, yeah? So
Mm-hmm.
this one night I went out, and I came home, and the place someone had broken in, and there was nothing to take. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
bent spoon, basically, where I was cooking the stuff. Basically nothing. So, all right. So the next night I go out, I come home, and I catch the guys coming out of the place. Now, I said, well, you went in with nothing, you came out with nothing. I don't give a shit. There's nothing in there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
there was no need for a policeman because all the thievery wasn't getting anything. Exactly. You're taking you're taking the crime to be so important. You fucking, that's the value it steals from you.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
The value it steals from you is you. You're not protecting anything.
Mm. Yes.
This is to see, we don't see it. We don't see our role in things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The, there is no thief without the policeman. There isn't. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
policeman without the thief. They both play roles. Yeah. You gotta be afraid the thief can take everything. Yeah. To
Mm-hmm.
give the policeman an importance. And the policeman believes the thief can take something of extreme value, which is they're not true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shit, yeah. So eat some donuts and drink some coffee.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do that.
I caught the thieves coming out of the house. Hey, they didn't have anything. There was nothing there to take. So I said, I'll see you tomorrow night. And of course, the thief didn't come back the third night because it was obvious there was nothing there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dror. And the doctor's out of work too.
Yep.
And Fritz's hand is up.
Fritz?
Yes, hello. So this is sort of something I'd like, I don't know, your observations about whatever. So when I first became aware that something else was going on besides, physical reality, I didn't have any concept of non-duality or, I'd done a little reading years before, and that was way in the history. And hit a real rough spot, did some just psychological type work, and bang, found myself in what I later would call non-duality. And during that time, it wasn't like I didn't exist. It was more like the thoughts didn't matter, and there was something much bigger that was way more interesting than anything my mind could come up with. And that lasted for a while. That sense lasted for quite a while, and in a way, it's still with me. But there was never the sense that I didn't exist. And it was more like this vastness was way more important or more interesting and always present. So I'd like to hear your comment about that.
Well, I don't have much of a comment. Yeah, when there's a loss of interest in what you're not, there's a gaining in interest. And that's what you found out. You found out all suddenly, but it's either sudden or it's slowly, but that's it. Yeah. You lose interest in the you and all that it's about because there is no you. It's all that it's about because it isn't you, basically. The cherishing of self is that it's taken to be us. Yeah. Once you lose interest in it, you've lost interest in it being you. Yeah, and you've gained interest in whatever. Yeah. I don't like to describe what we gain interest in because that's part of the fun. You'll find out. Yeah, because anytime you hear about it, there'll be a conception that will arise, and we don't need any more concepts about it. I just want to concentrate on what we're not, because I have great faith in what we are, and I have great faith that you'll find out what you'll need to find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So yeah, and the thing is, even if it seems to have changed intensity and stuff, it's never gone anywhere, and that's what you're resting in now. But probably you're resting in it with less comparison, so it just seems normal, really.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I
and
mean? Yeah.
there's been a lot more mental attention on political Sturm und Drang lately. And that's been troubling, honestly. So that's what I'm trying to cope with right now, basically.
Well, just watch Trevor Noah, or, you know, take your politics with satire.
I've been doing some of that too.
It's sort of like that thing when they discovered turmeric, you know, as being very good, but it has to be catalyzed with black pepper. Well, if you're going to listen to politics, you got to listen to it through a humorous lens.
Yeah, no, I dig what you're saying.
Talking about one of the main statements out of the Course in Miracles, projection, then perception. That's what they're all speaking, projecting a crazy. Exactly what they're doing, projecting it on others may do it. It's insane. I mean, really. But yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
There's a lot of humor around it. So if you go on YouTube, don't go to CNN, go to the Daily Show or something.
I like Trevor a lot. I think
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
pretty
crack.
fun. Yeah, he's pretty good. So yeah, but hey, bro, you're fine. So don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw words. Enough said.
There's a lot of whatever. Yeah. See, it's all premised on we're before everything. We are before everything. So there's nothing that's right or wrong other than what we make it, really. Yeah. Now it's important to have the discernment in what's being made, but yeah, so to see if it fits or doesn't fit with you. See, in other words, when I, you know, as an action figure, I was brought up with ideas and principles. Then with the addiction, they all got fucking shelved. And then when I got sober again, the way of life of recovery presented principles that I gravitated to, and they became the North Star for the action figure. Yeah. And one of those is the whole program in a way, and the whole life in a way, is reliance on something greater than self. Yeah. And as an action figure, if you wanted me to describe what it feels like I have been directed basically in this life by two forces. Yeah. I had like one regime, which was addiction. Yeah. Rooted in obsession with self I had early warnings, but from about 12 to 36. Yeah. In this life. I had crossed the line when I hit about 24, because the last line I had was, I wanted to know God, and from 20 to 24, that wanting to know God was sufficient enough to keep me from drinking and using. As soon as I got disappointed in that pursuit, I went back to drinking and using, and then there was no power that was going to change that course. Yeah, no God, no woman, no life, no kids. I was a real addict, seemingly, in the story. And then on 36, I got struck sober, not looking for sobriety. I had given it my best. I spent 2 years in one program, 3 months in another. I actually gave up hope that anything was ever going to change. And I basically settled into trying to stay drunk or loaded until I got arrested again or had to go into an institution or died. Really. Yet something had another plan for me. I got struck sober, and just it's sort of similar to that radioactive isotope of self-interest we're all running into. Yeah, that the self just keeps turning everything into about itself. Yeah, I had it in another way where I got struck sober, and that driving force for all the thoughts and all the anxieties concerning, getting drugs, getting off drugs, was removed. Yeah. Like the engine was taken out of the car. I didn't have to dodge the car. I didn't have to, cross when the car was looking. The engine was taken out. I had no idea it was possible, but it happened. And for 32 years now, I haven't had a strong feeling or a thought about drinking or using, where that's all I had for a long time. I mean, and it triggered an aspect of mind about possibilities. Yeah. And so I felt that this lower God, let's say, had lived through me, had used me as transportation, had used me as expression. Yeah, I lived through its agenda. And then through the program of recovery, I was introduced to another managerial team. We call it the higher power, and I felt the same way. I felt something now was moving that was more dominant than the thing that used to move me. So I feel like I'm sort of like a Uber, or a timeshare car. And it's basically whatever takes over the car is going to use it for expression. Yeah. And you're going to see life from the car, from its view. Yeah. So I don't see there's me in any of it. I just know something completely not like what used to run me is running me now. Yeah. And uh, it treats the car a whole lot better than the last one. Yeah. And uh, as an action figure, that's all I need to know, that I'm not managerial quality. Yeah. I'm very good to be directed. I'm probably not a good director. And it's just, so this idea of like just talking about, he thought an effect would have to be brought about by his interest. But then he realized his interest is an effect in itself it's not as valuable as he thought. So he lost interest in being interested. That's fucking great. Yeah. If we could package that, that would be it. That would be sort of like a seed of non-duality that would grow into an incredibly healthy disinterest in what you're not. Yeah. But it doesn't go that way. You have to have that sample, but once you get that sample, you can intimate it. Yes. You can feel it. It's true. Yeah. There's no, it may be. No, it's a fact. It's a fact, finally. Finally. It always has been, but now it's dawned on us. Yeah?
Yeah, and it was clear when that seeing arrived that it had always been so, that I just hadn't noticed. That's all.
Exactly. And it's always been so. In other words, nothing ever really happened. This is truly defined quite well by the statement dreaming. It is. What a relief that you don't have the ability to fuck this up. You don't. Yeah. You don't have the ability to make it any greater than it is either. Yeah. Your ability is to fucking recognize your role in things. Yeah. And
Yeah.
have the humility of seeing the role that you have. And then you'll find out a whole lot more when there's an acceptance of that. Yeah. You'll stop looking through you. You'll see. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, do we have any more? Nice to see you, Fritz.
Good to see you, man.
There are no more hands up, Paul.
All right. So maybe we'll end, eh? It's been a lovely day. The sun is finally coming out here. Very symbolic. All right. Let me say hello to everyone. Judith, as always, nice to see you, Judith. Thanks for, yeah, you know. Susan, one day I'm going to see you. I'm going to see your chin, Susan. One day you're going to arise to a level where I'll see your chin. All right. There's Mike. Mike is doing something. Stay on point. Stay here, Mike. It's almost over. Kerry, good to see you. Joseph C. Nice to see you, Joseph. We got Chris down there. Robert French. Fritz.
Thanks,
Oh,
Paul.
we got some triumvirate this last 3 squares. Fritz, Robert, and Chris. Woo! So that would, if we were going to have a tag team match against Ajashanti and his people, these would be the 3 people I'd send into the ring. Fritz, Robert, and Chris. All wearing Zen bitch slap shirts, of course. Yes. We got Roman. Nice to see you, Roman. Tom Harmon. Yariv, as always. Joyce, you're looking very good. Nice to see you. Z, all's well? I'll talk with you, Z. Richard, my main man from London. Yeah? Aren't
Hey,
you
Paul.
happy you don't have to pick me up from the airport?
Hey, Paul, it's Peterborough.
Oh no, where's Peter? No, I'm
Peterborough,
speaking to
that's north of Cambridge. It's north of London.
Oh no, I'm talking the other Richard here.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah, he's from Highgate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'll get to you in a minute. Yeah. The Richard. Yeah. He's the one who sends me Zen porn. Very, very. John K. Nice to see you, John. Draw. Richard Trevino, my main man.
Hey, if you need me in that ring, man, I'll go in that ring too. Anytime you need.
Yeah, I know you will.
Back you up.
You're my bodyguard's assassin seat assignment. Yeah. Yeah. I may be sending you to Portugal soon.
Oh.
Yeah. We may want to knock someone off down there.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention it, but most people probably know. Zoe, nice to see you, Zoe. We got let's see who else. We got Sylvester with the blinds. Ben Clark, our poet laureate. Ben, don't get up, Ben. Don't get up for us. Oh, he's just rolling over. John W. from Melbourne. You're in the springtime now, John, eh? Woo-hoo. Yeah. Jeremy's taking himself a lot less seriously. Hallelujah. Keith, nice to see you, Keith. All well?
Oh, yeah,
a nice
for sure.
lunch there before the talk.
I saw that.
Right. We got Gary, living large in the corner. Nice to see you, Gary. There's Donna. Donna has a whole new apparel thing going on Facebook. Donna Dima, right?
Yes.
She's a very good artist and stuff. Don't believe any fucking thing she says, though. But,
hey, that pie, I perfected that pie. I finally got it.
Oh, good.
I'll have it for you.
I'll be the one to say it if it's perfected.
Okay. I'll let you be the
Nice to see you, Hank. John Woodruff, thanks a lot, John, for the support, hanging out. Oh, it's Mickey from Madeira. And we got Drew. I don't know. He's got a little corner there. We got Andreas, and we got Mahavir from Portugal. Yeah. Remember, you're my sole representative in Portugal. You and Vlad. Art. Nice
It's
to
good.
see you, Art.
Good to
Yeah.
know.
We got Mike. Mike's there. Nice to see you, Mike. We got Lorraine. I barely can see you, Lorraine, but I see someone else there. Yeah. Nice to see both of you. Celia, pleasure. I missed your little Wednesday appearances every few months. We got Nick Moore. Nick Moore, traveling with a lot less. We got Helen. We got Keith. Nice to see you, Keith. We got Michael Lang. Michael Lang. Wow. That would have been a tough name to have. Yeah. I thought my name was Paul Lang most growing up, but we got Malcolm from Nashville, who I thought was from England. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I confused that. We got Ross. Ross, let that emotional shit come up, bro. Yeah, you're gonna feel a lot lighter. Jack G. Jack G. I don't know where. Now you're in a truck or something. Yeah.
It's constantly changing.
Are you bringing anything across the border? No.
I can't say.
Yeah, don't
I
ever
can't-
look inside.
I can't
Gisela.
confirm or deny.
We got Gisela Maria. I lost you there. We got Maggie. Maggie's out in the big trees. Is that those redwoods there?
That's Mount Shasta Big.
Where are you? I lost her. Mount Shasta? We got Norman, Ben. We got Ann. I don't see, Ann hasn't moved the whole time. Oh, it's a picture. Navdeep, Suzanne, Keith. We got Maggie again. She's back there. I can't. Yeah, Ross. Malcolm's made it easier on me. He has Nashville down now. And everyone else who I don't, there's just numbers and stuff. Thank you for everything. We'll be here Saturdays and Wednesdays on Non-Duality, and Tuesday, Thursday, Recovery. All of it's on Zoom. All the times are Pacific times. Hey, there's Norman. Nice to see you, Norman. And thanks, everyone, so much. Mike?
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I'll see
Thanks,
you
Paul.
guys later.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.